Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new Amethyst Ministry podcast. That's right, it's official. Everything's changed. So, as a first subject, I want to talk about something that's bothered me that I've seen a trend in like online Christian groups, and it's essentially you have this, and this is not going to give me any friends whatsoever. It's probably going to drive more people away. But you get these women who usually sometimes it's young girls, sometimes it's older, but they're essentially complaining about their spouse. So they're using a Christian group as an excuse to complain about their spouse, and they'll say, "Oh, he." And I've said this before, like the Instagram girl, or he liked some other girl's photos, or he watched pornography, right? And he's done these things, and then you get these. It could be a boyfriend, it could be a husband, it could be a fiance, and you get these wave of people saying you're unevenly yoked, run away, stay away from this person. And I'm not saying it's a good thing or it's okay for men to do that. And I just it may sound sexist, but I'm just being honest. I don't see a lot of men doing this. And that's also kind of my point. The thing is, these women use this as this validating type of attention seeking behavior. A lot of people have this type of attention seeking behavior, not just women, but women use this as a funnel for that. And not that they're evil and not that it may not need to be addressed, but it just doesn't really seem the place for it, right? If you have a personal issue with somebody, then you should address it personally or with a confidant or maybe with a pastor or maybe with a counselor or maybe with a therapist. Blasting something that your boyfriend or ex or whatever does all over social media is never a great idea. Trust me. And I guess my point is not only that, but you have to think about it like this. A lot of women are not perfect. As a matter of fact, I would say none of them are. None of us are perfect, which is why we need Jesus. But you personally would probably, if you're a woman, not want your boyfriend or husband or fiance doing such a thing about some sin that you committed. You wouldn't want them blasting. And I said this to somebody and they thought to themselves, oh, I never thought of it like that. Like they just never thought about it. No one's confronting them about why it's a bad idea. Two, you're messing with your relationship. Like I'm sure he's not happy that you're doing that. And three, um, again, we don't know these people. All most people know when we see these Christian groups is not typically a small community. These are like larger groups. So yes, it may be some anonymity to it, but also what's happening is these people don't know you. They don't know what you're like. They don't know what's going on. They don't even know if he really did what you said he did or if you even really have a husband or a boyfriend. And I'm not insulting the women who do that because of that matter. What I'm saying is they can't really give you good advice. So to say that you're unevenly yoked doesn't really make much sense. A lot of times when people say unevenly yoked, I really boil it down to a couple things that really, really matter, right? One, do you have somebody who have completely different lifestyle choices than you have? So you have one person who likes to party and one person who likes to stay at home and doesn't care for the partying habits of their partner, right? It's one thing if you don't mind if they go out. Like you like to stay home, but you don't mind if your partner goes out. They can go out all they want to and it doesn't bother you. This is you're creating a conflict. Then you have other people who uh, you have a person who's a Christian and the other person who's an atheist, and the person who is a Christian is enjoys being a Christian. They're okay with it, but the person who's an atheist, and I emphasize atheist, not even necessarily agnostic, even though that's probably not a great idea either. The problem with the atheist is when you have children, you may have the atheist like, oh, they're not going to church. I don't want them raised in that religion. They like you, but they're not attracted to what you believe in, and this is a very dividing factor. You should stay away from that. And of course, you get people who will pretend to be one thing or another, but some people aren't don't even bother pretending. They let you know what they believe in, or they change their mind while they're dating, and say what they really feel and act like they changed their mind. These are things that happen. These are things that are unevenly yoked, or somebody who's really called to be in the ministry and really devoted to Christian ideas, and you have another person who's kind of passive about it. Maybe not lukewarm. Doesn't mean he doesn't believe firmly. Doesn't mean he doesn't read. Doesn't mean he doesn't practice. Doesn't mean he doesn't abstain from, or actively try to abstain from bad behavior or unchristian like behavior. It's just that he may not be called to do the same things. You may be unevenly yoked, right? And I get a lot of that. But sometimes that's not the case. You just have some people who, and this is especially the case with men and women in general, their choice of sins tend to be different. Not that you should be choosing sin, but when you do fall into it, the temptations are different. A man may be way more tempted by something that's scarce to a man, right? Like female attention. They may not get it very often. There may be a woman who uh, may be tempted way more by attention in general than a man is. A man may just need the attention that he gets from his wife or his spouse or at home from his family. Things such as that. They want to be respected in the community that are around them, where women want to be, showered with likes and Instagram hearts and stuff like that, right? They want that broad span of attention. They may have been getting something such as that since they were really young. And these Facebook posts or these Instagram posts or these community group posts and chats are a way for them to obtain that. So in a way, they're actually falling into a different type of temptation, right? That is just being accepted by the people around them. It's not being, raising your hand saying, hey, you're kind of falling into, what do they call it? Well, that's right, coveting, because you're coveting this type of attention from people who really, this should be something that you get at home, right? No one really advocates in the church that you should be walking around in a THONG all day, right? Thong. I don't know why I didn't just say it. I say way worse stuff than that. But my point is, people don't really advocate for such a thing, and that's something that you should recognize. Now, even though this channel is going in a ministry direction, I'm still actually going to keep it adult. Not that I have a problem with children and people listening to what I say, but some topics, like I said, I don't really plan on not talking about cigars or firearms anymore. It's just not going to be the main focus of what I am doing in this podcast. I don't think those are bad things. If you don't agree with that, I understand, right? My point is so we can all come to an understanding, and that is kind of the point of my ministry. I want to kind of be the middleman for people who are having a hard time understanding each other. This world is getting way more isolated, and I think the best thing we can do is come back together as a community, and that's a scary thing. You know, I represent that with almost death, because when you advocate for peace, people come after you. And even if you're not a Christian, like, I mean, Gandhi and, Martin Luther King, and if you're a Christian, Jesus, right? These are all people who advocated that we understand one another, that we love one another, that we create peace with one another, that we build together for one another. And if you're going to go on to like, oh, Gandhi was racist, you got to understand he was a lawyer in a racist legal system. He probably didn't have much of a choice to say those kind of things. Doesn't mean that it's okay, but their context really matters. But that's not my point. I'm not a big Gandhi fan anyway. I'm just saying that those are things that we all have to come and understand. And being holier than thou about, what one person does that you may not do doesn't make things any better. We all have sins and temptations that we fall into, and we change our lives around for the better because we're trying to be uh, people who walk a more Christian path. It's just the way that we work, right? That is the point of this. But one of the things I noticed that's lacking in ministry in general is how we are our welcoming nature, right? We're way more isolating than we have ever been, and in a time where community is needed more than ever as well. is kind of strange. It's like, why did we choose to be this way during this time period? Maybe we're mimicking the world around us, and that's something we're not supposed to do. But that's just a thought. Thanks for listening. And if you agree with anything I said, I beg of you, please hit a like, please hit a subscribe, and I will talk to you later.